Thank you, thank you. You know what? I don't think I need to give a speech tonight. I mean, after hearing Jennifer and Tanya, I can't possibly top those two women. I wouldn't even try. I should just let my suit do the talking. It's certainly loud enough. I'm so grateful that we're here tonight. We're not quarantined in our homes. We're able to venture outside our living rooms, to be at a table with friends, meeting new people. What a gift that we won't take for granted again. I lost a brother to COVID in February of this year. His name was Rick Fifer. He was a character. You would have liked him a lot. So I'm genuinely grateful that you're just all alive. I really appreciate that, and that all of our local heroes are alive. I'm grateful that we can be here together. It's a gift. I'm grateful to you, Lily, for hosting, and to Rob and Ewan for hosting remotely, and for all the people who are tuning in and watching this virtually, thank you. And as always, I'm grateful to the Go team and everyone who contributed to making tonight happen. And the reason everyone works so hard to make tonight happen is because so many kids' lives depend on it. I hope you've gotten a sense by now of what tonight means. Deciding what to say up here is always kind of tricky because many of you, you've walked this road with us for a long time, and you can talk about Go in your sleep. John and Becca and Linda and Ben and Allison, Andy, Julie, Natalie, Rami, Najla, Tony, Shauna, of course my co-founder Vicky and Max. I always say Go is like a family, and you're it. This is our family reunion. But for nearly half of you who are watching from home tonight, this might be your first time hearing about Go. So how do I talk to all of you? I could tell you how it started with 20 orphans in Tanzania, and then someone said, oh, you've got to help this monk helping girls' education in Cambodia, and someone else said, oh no, you've got to meet the school teacher helping indigenous kids in the mountains of Peru, and well, now we've grown to helping over 190,000 kids around the world. But thank you. Thank you. But it's really because of the local heroes. And totally by coincidence, I swear to God, I was informed that today is National Hero Day. How perfect is that? Apparently, it's also National Pierogi Day and National Fluffernutter Day and World Octopus Day. But we're not here to celebrate local fluffernutters, as much as I would like that very much. We're here to celebrate local heroes, and you met two of them tonight, but we have the privilege of working with so many more. Two of the several traits the Go campaign looks for in pioneering local heroes. We look for someone who's courageous, meaning they have the perseverance to accomplish a goal in the face of giant obstacles, and someone who's imaginative, who's able to show creativity by thinking of new and better goals, ideas, solutions to problems. And what the pandemic proved is that Go campaign local heroes possess no shortage of either. A new playbook was needed. Programs that weren't critical were suspended and new programs were born. A sports program suddenly became the only source of mental health counseling for some of the poorest families in London. At a South African children's center and at a human rights office in Mexico, Go was suddenly the only source of COVID relief funding for families who didn't know where their next meal was coming from. When a working mother of 3 in India lost her husband to COVID and her children's health started to decline from malnourishment, a Go campaign funded program was there to provide food rations and keep her children healthy. When 10 children in Kenya didn't have insulin to treat their diabetes due to the supply chain crisis, a Go campaign hero stepped in and made sure they had access to this life-saving medication. When a teenager right here in South LA needed help with emotional issues and was being pressured into gang activity during the pandemic, a Go local hero was able to help him get the counseling and support he needed, help him heal his relationship with his mother, and get out of the gang. There are thousands more stories like this. An incredible and unexpected development of the pandemic has been the growth of new programs and new services that will continue to serve children and families for years to come. Our partners' resourcefulness resulted in new pandemic programs, which in many instances proved to be improvements on the old way of doing things. Now, the problem is that many of our partners are struggling again in this economy. As Lily mentioned, donor giving is down this year across the board for all charities. And you couple that with inflation and supply chain costs and war in Ukraine, costs are soaring for everything. I mean, you all know that. It affects you too. But we can handle it. We can absorb it. We'll survive inflation. The people at the grassroots level, they're being hit the hardest and they need us the most. I was on the phone last week with Mama Grace. She's another one of our local heroes in East Africa that several of you in the room have had the pleasure to meet. And I was telling her that, Mama Grace, you know, this year fundraising so far, it's a real struggle. And she just said, imagine if you're struggling in the US to find money, imagine what that means for all of us. Which is a crushing conversation every time I have to have it. Because our talent at Go is finding and vetting and lifting up these incredible grassroots local heroes who are changing the lives of children. You heard from Jennifer and from Tanya. They're not just changing children's lives, they're saving children's lives. And that's pretty cool. And that's not just a platitude, it's real. Whether it's through mental health programs, which we all know is at a crisis level among teens right now, or by providing an education to a kid who wouldn't otherwise have access to one. I have a friend, she's a life coach, and every time someone says something like, oh, I have to go to work today, or I have to bring the kids to the doctor, she always turns it around and she says, no, you get to go to work today. You get to bring the kids to the doctor. I said to her last week, we have to raise at least another $1 million this year. She's like, Scott, you get to raise another $1 million this year. It's just about your perspective. We actually get to save children's lives tonight. Who doesn't want to do that? So whether you leave here donating $50,000 tonight or $50 tonight, I was just on the phone on Thursday, a Zoom, with someone in Kiev who's helping displaced families rebuild their homes. They want to rebuild a children's hospital that was bombed. They want to get all these families who are living inside schools, sleeping on gymnasium floors, back into their apartments so the schools can be schools again. It's a super efficient grassroots way to make a difference for kids in Ukraine. We would love to be able to say yes to that. Because of the way we find and vet these heroes who would not otherwise come to your attention, I think we're a unique organization in the way we help you do good in the world. For those of you who were at the Gala, I think it was 6 years ago, Brenda Schumer from the Gabriella Center in Tanzania was here. At that time, she had a very small operation, but a big dream, not unlike Jennifer's dream for Chicago. A dream so deserving, you just have to make it come true. Well, Brenda got up and spoke about how Go was encouraging her to make her wildest dreams come true for special needs children. Children who in many parts of Africa are often overlooked, tossed aside, or put to death. Well, the room was generous that night. And because of this gala and a lot of follow-up work that Jonathan and Jamie Ward did, and generous donors like Kathy and Laird and Nishad and Lara, and Kathy and Rami even climbed Mount Kilimanjaro to help raise money for it. Well, I want you to see what we accomplished together. Brenda was actually about to shut down Gabriella Center when we met her due to lack of funding. She had written letters to all the parents, and she was about to send them, but then we stepped in. There she is. And now she has a center that is the talk of East Africa, as nice as any Tanzanian college campus, where kids who were formerly considered worthless are learning trades and becoming breadwinners for their families. It's a miracle that we got to bring to life. What was just a far-off dream at that gala 6 years ago is now a reality. I mean, look at it. And kids are alive and thriving because of it. It's incredible. And Jennifer, really it is. But it was done here. It was done by any of you who are here in that room that night. And Jennifer has that same kind of bold dream for Chicago. Right now she's got an empty Walgreens building with programs scattered about in corners. But just like Gabriella Center, in the not too distant future, it can and it will be so much more. If you follow philanthropy news closely, which you may not, more and more people are speaking up and saying modern charity doesn't work. Which kind of makes sense, because think about the billions spent on charity, yet look at the disparity in the economics of the world today. They're saying charity doesn't work, but solidarity does. And that's what we do at Go Campaign. Our local heroes don't need our charity, but they deserve our solidarity. And I think that all of us in this room have a responsibility to be in solidarity with them. We've worked with over 180 local heroes around the world, and I can't begin to do justice trying to convey the impact that you have had with Go Campaign. Sometimes I don't even know the impact myself. When I was thinking about this speech, I actually Googled Go Campaign. I assure you I found no scandals, nothing to do with Brett Favre or Steve Bannon. We weren't on Shakira's taxes anywhere. But I found this article that I'd never seen before. It was from Senegal, and it tells the story of two young boys, Samba and Ibrahim, who were found begging on the streets, malnourished, beaten. They were taken in by our local hero, Issa, in Saint Louis, Senegal. They were counseled, educated, trained as tailors, and now both successful graduates of the program, self-sufficient and looking healthy and happy. And thank you, thank them, thank Issa. But at the bottom of the article, it says, thank you again to Go Campaign for making Samba and Ibrahim's program possible. We didn't even know about that particular story. We funded that program like close to a decade ago, I think. It was probably like a $7,000 project. So many of our projects we do are small but mighty. And these are the ripple effects and the stories that live on from your generosity. What we do tonight in this room will have ripple effects, reverberating change for years to come. Your generosity in the room tonight and watching online will be a source of exponential good. I've seen it happen at this gala for 15 years, and I know it will happen again tonight. It has to. Because there are girls in Afghanistan who will be able to go to school because of you. Now, others might give up on that cause, thinking, well, there's no way around the Taliban. How can you be sure that money is really going to help the girls? Well, our local hero, his name's Atal. Linda Connor, I think we found him through you, right? Yeah, we did. Thank you for that. He's able to identify regions outside the Taliban's control, a region they're not even interested in. Regions in the south where communities value a girl's right to education, where other girls are denied, but they can get an education that they deserve. Imagine how committed those girls are to learning, what they could grow up to be and do. And they're relying on us. And so are Jennifer's kids at Future Ties and Tanya's future scholars at Nickerson's Gardens. Lately, we've had to say no to about 60% of the requests that we get. And I don't mean random requests for help, requests from people who we consider family, partners who we know are trying to turn kids' lives around, who can turn kids' lives around, who can save lives. And let me tell you, that is no fun when you have to have that conversation. It puts me in a really bad mood because I know it means that there's a kid now sentenced to a cycle of poverty that she did not ask for and does not deserve. Thanksgiving will be here before we know it. It's a time for giving, and I'm going to ask our auctioneer, Michael Furman, to join me on stage, and let's make some dreams come true tonight. It's an unprecedented time in our lives. Let's rise to the occasion now and save more lives of children than we have ever before. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Fifer.